top 5 favorite fantasy movies. Let's go. Hello, YouTube. Axie here once again. Another Tuesday, another top 5 list. This one is my top 5 fantasy movies of all time. Now, this is a little bit tricky because when I started looking up fantasy, because once you start thinking about these lists, you realize that a lot of movies fall into different categories. Some action might be fantasy, some fantasy might also be sci-fi, and the list goes on. So keep that in mind when I pick these. I wanted to make sure that they didn't fall too much in line with your sci-fis or your horror or whatever the case is. And that's how I was thinking about this. And as always, in no particular order, I count down my top 5. I just said count down, but this is in real no particular order. Now, one of my homies, the Jukester, the Juke John, he let me know, it's like, hey, if you're not ranking them, then you don't want to be going 5 to 1. You should be going 1 to 5. And I go, okay, that makes sense, I suppose. So, in the spirit of that, let's go ahead and get into it with the first one. Number 1 on the list is wearing the shirt. Lord of the Rings. But not just any Lord of the Rings movie, because there are 3. Technically, there's 6. I don't count the I don't count the Hobbit ones. Yeah, I just okay. My disdain there was for a reason. But back to the pick at hand, Fellowship of the Ring. So one thing I do want to point out in these lists is that these aren't just popular movies, although they can definitely fall into these categories. But in this particular case, it's movies that may not be the best sci-fi or the best fantasy, the best action, but they're just my favorite, hence the favorite in the thumbnail and this whole segment. But it's also because these are movies that I can continuously watch. Like I watch them all the time. I don't know why. It's just a thing in my head, a brain tick that I just fall in love with these movies and I can watch them anytime they're on. And I go out of my way to just play them in the background as I'm rebagging and boarding comics, things like that. But let's talk about the actual pick, Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. When this movie came out, I was actually in the Army and I was blown away. I had no idea what the Lord of the Rings was as far as the literature part goes. So I had one of my best friends in the military. He was a medic just like me. So we spent a lot of time together in the 8th Station, Fort Bragg, North Carolina. And he told me, like, if you like the movie, then you should probably read the books. This was essentially what got me back into reading novels in general. I'm a big Anne Rice fan, so I've read almost everything she's ever written, and he got me into other forms of literature. In this case, The Lord of the Rings. I read everything by Tolkien, the Silmarillion, Unfinished Tales. I mean, you name it, I've read it. So to rewatch that movie is just an experience every time. I quote it all the time. Anyone that knows me personally knows that I quote the hell out of this movie. The puns, the gifs, the memes, it's an epic proportion. Proportion? It's an epic movie, to say the very least. And if anyone tries to argue that, I think it's one of those movies that's you can't argue that. It's just one of the best fantasy movies of all time, on top of Two Towers and Return of the King. Yeah, I just said that if you're a big Return of the King fan. But yeah, Fellowship of the Ring is up there in sheer scale of its accomplishment, the visuals, the story that ties into Tolkien's work. I mean, it all fits. Language, lands. Whew. I could keep going and going. If you haven't watched it, what's the matter with you? What's the matter with you? Go watch it. But let's go on to number 2. Number 2 on my list of favorite fantasy movies, the top 5, Willow. Kaya. Peck. Peck. Just genius movie. I'm a child of the 80s, ladies and gents. So Willow, I grew up with the movie Willow. I was already a Star Wars fan because of Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi was one of the first movies in the Star Wars original trilogy that I watched. So I mean, this was Lucasfilm that made Willow, and just it's the best from you, Warwick Davis, knowing that he was also, and I didn't learn this because we didn't have the internet back then, right? So learning that he had also played Wicket, the Ewok in Return of the Jedi, and he's Willow, and he also plays the professor in Harry Potter, the Professor Flitwick. Whew, I almost forgot that one, and I didn't want to do a retake on this video. But yeah, Willow. There's so much to love. Val Kilmer as Mad Mardigan. I read the novelization of it. I can't really tell you which came first. I think the movie came out and then they wrote the book. I could be wrong. Let me know in the comment section below if I'm wrong about that. But Willow, definitely on a list. The soundtrack alone is amazing. It's such a simple story, self-contained, and I mean, you know, it's just when the pig trick, the pig trick that he does at the end. Oh, spoilers! This movie came out in the '80s. Please, there's no such thing as spoilers at this point. Willow, awesome movie. Number 3 on the list, The Never-Ending Story. Speaking of being a child of the '80s, The Never-Ending Story, the song. I know Stranger Things has had a big impact in the uptake of people's interest in The Never-Ending Story, or maybe even re-interest. So, oh man, I haven't heard of that song, or I haven't heard like the come on, I'm doing a horrible job, but you all know the song I'm singing from The Never-Ending Story. The Never-Ending Story. Come on, yeah, come on. So I know that Stranger Things had an uptake in its interest, but I grew up with it. Falcor. I mean, the famous. You want to get traumatized as a child? Watch that horse just sink in that sadness swamp. Oh my lord! You want to talk about? They didn't care. They weren't sensitive to children's needs and feelings. No, no, we're gonna gut punch you so that you feel it 40 years later, hence why I'm talking about it and why this is on the list. So the never ending story, the nothing, the everything. Rock Biter, oh, he's my favorite, the big mountain dude. So definitely has to be on my list, but we have 2 more to go. Let's go. Number 4, Pan's Labyrinth. One of my favorite directors out there who's kind of obscure. He's not obscure, but you don't ever hear conversation about him in the same way that you would like a Christopher Nolan or a James Gunn or whoever that may be. I feel like Guillermo del Toro is like this kind of obscure, which is very fitting for him in a way because he did create the Hellboy movies, and the Hellboy movies. He's a huge Hellboy fan. He's really good friends with Mike Mignola, the creator of Hellboy. So watching Pan's Labyrinth reminds you that even though Jim Henson has passed away, that practical effects, especially as it pertains to puppetry, like real effects, real makeup and costumes and prosthetics, can still go a long way. I mean, there's no substitute for the real thing, right? Uh, whatever that may be, especially as it pertains to movies, fantasy movies, especially, I would argue. So the practical effects that you see in the fawn and in the creatures, I mean that creature in the basement thing. Ooh, that thing still gives me the creeps, man. The thing where he did that and put the eyes, and I was like, I had nightmares about that damn thing for a while. But he just knows how to creep you out without the gore. And the movie itself, the storyline, it's so sad and so melancholy in the way it goes, and yet uh, still providing a happy ending. And yet it's just such a somber happy ending. Just so good. The little tune. I already did a tune before. I'm not gonna hurt your guys' eyes again by your ears. I mean, by doing another one. But the little jingle that they sing throughout the movie, just excellent. Uh, do yourselves a favor. You haven't seen Pan's Labyrinth? Go watch it now. Let's go on to the last one. Number 5, last but definitely not least, that doesn't pertain here because these are in no particular order. A Harry Potter movie had to make my list. One in particular, the one that I rewatched the most all the time, nonstop, which is the third film, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. It's my favorite in the series. It's when the tone got darker. Even the costumes themselves, in my opinion, is when they really took an uptake where I felt more immersed in the world. Like the robes that they wore, I just felt the fabric was nicer, heavier with the triangle hood and the color scheme. Just the whole thing felt like they took it more serious at that point. Alfonso Cuarón was the director of that film who wanted to take a darker tone that way. The Dementors, I mean, they looked creepy. I love the water effect because that's what they did in the film. They wanted to make sure that they were floating in the air or out, but they looked like they were underwater. The way the robes uh, just flowed. I thought that was a genius effect to showcase the Dementors in that movie. And just another key thing that I love about the movie is the way that magic sounds. So that when they flick their wand, that little sound effect, that for you Potterheads, you know the sound. I love that. I loved that, like just small detail. It was so good. The one thing that did bother me a little bit about the movie is the wands themselves. I felt like, in the books, the wands are different sizes. Most of the time, they're very compact. Yet in the movie, I get it. It's Hollywood. You have to make sure that people can see it on screen. I mean, these things are like these things are like it's 16, 17. I hate that. I hate the fact that they're so damn big. How do you fit that in your pocket without breaking it every time you sit down? You see, it just bugs me. It's a pet peeve. It's a nitpick. But so, but I did like the fact that now everybody's wands, even in this movie, were different. They were unique. They were, and I have a problem about that. Maybe I'll make a video about the wands of Harry Potter and my problem with it. Ooh, that's a good one. Um, but yeah, Prisoner of Azkaban, Harry Potter, big Potter fan myself, Potterhead, Ravenclaw house in the house. Woo! Oh yeah, Gryffindor, get out of here. The rest of you guys too, get out of here. It's all about Ravenclaws. But yeah, so definitely had to make the list. I know it's part of a whole trilogy, or no, Lord of the Rings was a trilogy. This is part of a, what do you call that? 8 films. Maybe I'll put the word right here, whatever that word is. But yeah, that was my top 5. Ladies and gents, sound off in the comments section. Let me know what your top 5 fantasy movies are. Think about what I said at the beginning of the video about how certain genres can mix into others. So try to keep it as fantasy as possible, whatever that means to you. There's really no parameters, right? Art is subjective. Objective, subjective. I always get those two mixed up. But yeah, so let me know in the comment section. If you like my content, ladies and gents, please hit that like button, hit the notification bell, subscribe to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching another Top 5 Tuesday video. As always, collect what you love what you collect. I'll see you guys next Tuesday or Friday for my comic book look and a brewski segment where I take a look at a comic book in my collection and we take a deep dive inside of it so you guys can see the interior pages, etc. But that's it for this. Cue the ending.